Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Owerri, there lived a beautiful young lady whose name was Amara. Amara was so pretty and she knew it. She was slim, beautiful, and she was a successful banker. Amara had several men that wanted to date her because she was so beautiful. And yes, she would date them all. But as soon as they mentioned marriage, she would just dump them. If any of the men tried to propose to her, she would just drop them like hot plates. She knew what she wanted for her life. She did not want to marry a man that was just rich, a man that was just okay, that, could take care of her and the family, and they would live like a modest, average family in Nigeria. No, that was not what she wanted. She wanted to marry an Odogu, Odogu Parara, Odogu billions, Odogu dollars, Odogu pounds sterling. That was what she wanted for herself. For crying out loud, she had watched too many Nigerian movies. She wanted a man that would take care of her. A man that would tell her, you know what, Amara, do not work. Just be beautiful for me. She did not want a man that would tell her, we are going to split the bill. I will take care of 80% of the bill. You will take care of 20% of the bill for the family. No, she wanted a wealthy man, a billionaire, a man that would tell her not to contribute a dime to the household because her existence was enough. So even though her best friend Ada had advised her saying, my dear, be realistic, oh. Is it not better to build with your future husband? Like marry somebody on your level, then together you guys work together and build your own empire. That way you would always have a say in your house, you'll be loved, you'll be respected and all of that. And this kind of men will not joke with you. Oh. They will not joke with you. They will not even cheat on you. They'll be faithful to you. When they remember all the sacrifices that you're a pillar in the household, they will not joke with you at all. Ada will tell Amara. But Amara will simply reply and say, my dear, I am not a construction worker. Oh. I am not an engineer. I'm not a builder. I cannot build with any man from scratch. I want an already made man. The people that are getting married to already made men, do they have two heads? Why will my own be different? After all, it's not God that said he will give us the desires of our heart. Well, this is the desire of my own heart, oh. I want an already made man. Odogu. And as for the cheating, well, if he cheats, that's his problem. As far as he takes care of me, he doesn't, rub it off on my face, my dear, I'm good to go. There is no man that doesn't cheat. The earlier you get that, the better for you. So all this, I want a man that will build from scratch. Oh, that won't concern you. Oh. As for me, I know who I'm going to marry. A wealthy man, importer, exporter, general merchandise. Odogu, that's what I'm going to get. Amara would say very proudly. And Dada will just sigh and say, oh, I've said my own, no. If you like, listen to me. If you like, do not listen to me. May God grant you the desires of your heart. Ada would reply. And so things continued like this. Amara would keep on jumping from one relationship to the other just to pass time. And as soon as the men proposed, she would drop them like a hot plate because she did not want to marry them. So Amara so far had turned down more than 7 marriage proposals. Meanwhile, some ladies were begging God to just give them one marriage proposal. But Amara was busy turning down marriage proposal just like that. But as the years passed, Amara began to get worried. She was no longer young. She was no longer 22, 21. She was heading to 27. And she knew that she had to act fast. She needed to get married on time. So one day she sat down and began to strategize. How do I meet these people? How do I meet these billionaires? Because nobody around me is a billionaire. How can I meet them so that at least they can see me? At least the person has to see me, then like me, then want to marry me. But if I don't even meet them, then how will I, get married to one? So after several days of brainstorming, Amara came up with a perfect plan. She did her research and realized that most of these odogus that she wanted to marry, We're from Anambra, Nnewi to be precise. So if she had to marry one of them, she had to be going to Anambra. She had to make herself visible for her to even gain favor. So Amara made it a point of duty that every weekend she must look for an event that was going on in Anambra State and would travel all the way from Owerri to Anambra to attend, be it a wedding, be it burial ceremony, be it a naming ceremony, whatever it was, she would just appear there, whether or not she knew the celebrant. And she will not just go there like that, too. She will go there looking her very best. Beautiful dress, beautiful hair, with a big smile plastered on her face. As she walked through the event, she'll be greeting the men specially. Oh, good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Hey, good afternoon. She'll be there smiling like fish and pretending to be all, just so she could get the attention of a wealthy billionaire. She did that for a few weeks, yet nothing. None of the billionaires were even noticing her. They just felt she was one of these people that just came around because they were hosting a party, and nobody took interest in her. At this point, Amara became desperate. So she decided to intensify and started going from one prayer house to the other, praying for a man. Sometimes in the prayer houses, ministries, they will tell them to go and buy their wedding gowns and come for a vigil and pray for their husband. And Amara would do it because she was very desperate. So despite the whole busy day at work, coming back late, tired and exhausted, Amara will still carry her wedding gown and go for the vigil by the ministry that she joins to go and pray to God to bring her husband. Amara was desperate. So while she was doing those things at night, she was going for events during the weekend. And finally, it paid off because not long after, Amara met Chinedu, popularly called Edu Brazil, at one of the weddings that she attended. Chinedu was a big boy. He was wealthy. I mean, he had money. His favorite slang was money na water. Chinedu was the kind of person that Amara had envisaged for her life. He was an Odogu Parara, importer, exporter, general merchandise. He always had containers on the high sea. Every time his container was coming in. And for Chinedu, it was love at first sight for him. He saw Amara as a very beautiful woman, and he knew on the spot that he wanted to marry her. He did not even talk too much. By the time he walked up to Amara, Amara was already smiling like a fish. And by the time he said, please, can I have your... Amara didn't allow him to land though. Say yes, yes, yes. She collected his phone and punched in her number. She liked what she saw. She knew Chinedu. She knew who he was, that he was a multi. And she was not going to allow this one pass her by you. So that was how their relationship started though. Amara took her girlfriend job too seriously. Every weekend, she will go to his home and cook very good, delicious soup for him. From onugbo to ohao, she would even pound fresh fufu for him. Chinedu was smitten. He did not know that girls that could cook like his mother still existed. Amara was always cooking different native indigenous meals for him. She will make abacha. She will make uba agwarago. She was doing just too much. And Chinedu was very happy. And not just that, she would dress very beautifully and seductively, but yet would not allow Chinedu to touch her. If he tried to touch her, she would say, oh no, no, please, let us wait till we get married. Chinedu was very impressed that despite his money, Amara was not throwing himself at her. And this made him even long for her the more. So he hastened up and went ahead and got married to her. Their wedding was a lavish one. It was the talk of the town. No expense whatsoever was spared. Edu Brazil was just spraying money, screaming, money na water, money na water. Amara was so happy. This was what she wanted for herself. She wanted a life of luxury, premium luxury. She did not come to this world to suffer. So she was happy. Ada, her friend, also attended the wedding, although Amara had already started cutting her off. Amara did not even allow Ada to be part of her bridal train, saying that Ada did not fit the aesthetics, that she was not beautiful enough and wealthy enough to be on her bridal train. But regardless, Ada still went for the wedding, despite how her best friend Amara had treated her. So soon enough, Amara settled into her marital life. Almost she was happy. She had servants, she had drivers, she was living her best life, shopping and buying all the luxury items. In less than 2 weeks after her marriage, Edu Brazil had told her to leave her job. That how could she, Wunyo Odogu, be working for another man? That no, she should resign. And Amara was so happy and thanked him. But unknown to Edu Brazil, that Amara had already resigned 2 weeks before the wedding. Amara was so happy. Her husband, Edu Brazil, placed her on a 3 million naira monthly salary. That is aside the house expenses. Amara did not know what to do with money. She was always buying wigs, buying shoes, buying handbags, buying clothes. Amara never repeated a single clothes. For what? A whole billionaire's wife. Amara had just become a big girl overnight. And each time her best friend Ada tried to reach out to her, she did not even respond. At some point, she got very upset and blocked her. She said, please, 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 please. I don't like all these poor people around me. Their mentality is too shallow. I need to roll with people of my own class. So that was how Amara cut off and blocked her best friend Ada and blocked her other single friends that she thought that were no longer in the same level as she was. She now started rowing with big women, society women, women of caliber, timber and caliber. She was so happy with her new status and new life. And soon enough, she even got her husband to build a mansion for her mother in Owerri, and also got him to buy a beautiful house for her in Port Harcourt. Amara was so happy. But as the saying goes, nothing good lasts forever. It was barely 2 years down the line, and yet Amara had not been able to conceive once, not to talk of having a miscarriage or at least giving birth to a child. Now, Edu Brazil was getting very uncomfortable, and he began to change towards her, and they began to quarrel more often. Every time he will grumble and say, I've given you everything that you want. I've built a house for your mother, built a house for you. I give you money, I take care of you, and yet you cannot give me a child. Amara would always plead and cry and say, but I'm not the one responsible for giving children now. It is God that gives a person child. Let us just pray together. Let's be united. Do not let this separate us. Amara would say, crying and begging him. But Edu was getting frustrated. He was building an empire and needed to be sure that he had sons that would take over all his sweat and hard work. So things continued for a while. They continued to quarrel over their childlessness. Her husband was frustrated. Then one day he called her and said, my dear, if you're not able to give me a child in the next 6 months, if you're not able to conceive, there's nothing wrong with me now. I am a sharpshooter. I remember how many women did abortion for me back in the days because I said I will not have a child outside wedlock. But I know myself. My chairman is working. So I know that the fault is not from me. I am a very sharpshooter. Odogo Aburo guy name. So my dear, if you know what is good for you, I'm giving you 6 months. You had better try and conceive. Oh. I don't mind paying. Go to the best of the best hospitals and find out what is wrong with you and treat yourself and make sure you conceive within the next 6 months. If not, you are out of this household. Ilala. Her husband said very angrily. Amara became very desperate. She started jumping from one church to the other. She knew that there was no point in visiting hospitals because she knew that she did not have a womb. Because during her escapade with her different boyfriends, she had committed several abortions. And the last one that she did had damaged her womb. But then how could she tell her husband that she was the one responsible for their childlessness? So her only hope was that God would forgive her and make her conceive. So she started jumping from one church to the other, from one ministry to the other, praying for a miracle to happen. And at the same time, she was going from one hospital to the other and conniving with the doctors to give her a clean bill of health, saying that there was nothing wrong with her. So things continued like this for a while. But one day, her husband got fed up. He didn't tell her anything. He just told her to follow him. And then he drove her to a hospital that was owned by his best friend Emeka, who was a gynecologist and an obstetrician, and told him to run all the necessary tests and find out what was wrong with his wife, because he knew that nothing was wrong with him. And so the doctor did all the tests and realized that she had no womb. Her womb had been severely damaged due to several abortions that she had done in time past. Her husband screamed, "How dare you? How dare you, Amara? So you know that you do not have a womb, and yet you agree to marry an Odogu without a womb. What do I need you for? Who will give me my sons that will take over my empire? Amara, you the wicked. Amara, you're a very stupid, wicked girl. After all that I have done for you, and yet this is how you choose to pay me back. If you know what is good for you, do not ever return to my house. If not, I will kill you with my bare hands." Her husband, Edu Brazil, screamed angrily at her and left her in the hospital and went back home angrily. As soon as he got back home, he instructed the gatesman not to allow Amara into his house anymore, as she no longer belonged there. Then he instructed all the maids and all the servants that Amara was no longer their madam and was no longer welcome in their home, and that anybody that dared let her back into his house should consider him or herself sacked. Edu was so upset, and he knew that he was done with the marriage. Meanwhile, Amara was still back in the hospital, crying and weeping and wailing. Her cover had been blown. She didn't know where to go from there, and she knew that her husband was serious. But then she attempted going back to the house to see if she could at least pack her things and, find somewhere to sleep for the day. But upon getting back home, even the gatesman did not allow her to enter the compound, saying that Oga had warned them not to let her into his home any longer. Amara cried and cried. She called her husband severally, but he refused to pick his call, and at some point, he even blocked her. Amara did not know where to go. The only thing that she had was her handbag that had her phone and her ATM cards. So for the night, Amara went ahead and lodged in a hotel. So for the next few weeks, she was living in a hotel. She tried reaching out to all her rich and classy friends, but none of them wanted anything to do with her because her husband had told their husbands what she did to him. And in no time, Amara began to run out of money. She did not have any savings. All the money that her husband had given her, she had used it to buy hair, to buy clothes, to buy jewelry, and everything was stuck in the house that she was not allowed to enter. Amara became very frustrated. So she tried to see if she could go to her home in Port Harcourt, since her husband would not allow her enter their home. She decided to see if she could go to the house that he had built for her. to stay there for the time being. But upon getting there, she realized that her husband had sold the property. Amara was furious. She broke down in tears, and then it occurred to her that he had never really given her any documents for the property. Yes, he said that he built the house for her and gave her the keys to the house, but never gave her the documents of the house. Unknown to Amara that the house was actually built in his name. So she decided to go back home to Owerri and go and live with her mother in the house that her husband had built for her mother. But upon getting there, she realized that her husband had also kicked her mother out of the house and had sold the house as well. Her husband had built all these properties in his name and had collected them back. Amara was so ashamed of herself. She broke down in tears and wept uncontrollably. She kept on going back to her matrimonial home to beg her husband, but nobody would let her in. She even tried begging the maids to at least help her bring her things out so that she could sell the bag, sell the hair, sell all the things that she had wasted money on so that she could have some money to take care of herself. But none of the maids helped her because when she was their madam, she was not good to them. Amara was so frustrated. She had no savings to her name. Everything that she owned was inside her husband's house. And even the properties that she thought belonged to her did not really belong to her. Amara was broke. So that was when she remembered her friend Ada and went back to Owerri to go and visit Ada. But surprisingly, Ada had become a big woman herself. Ada had gotten married to a young man, and together they had worked hard and built an empire for themselves. Ada let her into her home, and Amara fell to her knees, begging and crying, Ada, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I'm so sorry for cutting you off. I'm so sorry. Now my husband has abandoned me. He has thrown me out. Please find a place in your heart to forgive me. And Ada truly forgave her. But Ada told her that she no longer wanted her in her life, as she was a terrible friend. But regardless, Ada gave her 1 million naira to help her stand on her feet again. Amara thanked her profusely and left Ada's house in shame. But just barely 2 streets away, and 2 young men who were thugs came and attacked Amara and stole the 1 million naira from her. Amara wept and wept. She did not know why her life was just turning upside down. She went back home to her mother, and her mother even rejected her, calling her a cursed child for the humiliation that she had brought to her. Amara was so broken, she didn't know what to do. Now she had no money, she had no friends, she had no husband, and she had no family. Amara began to roam the streets of Owerri, confused. And after a while, she got a job as a waiter and began to wash plates and serve food at a local restaurant just so she could earn money to survive and so that she could eat every day. The great Amara had fallen. She had become a laughing stock as the news spread very quickly among all the friends that she had blocked because she became wealthy. Amara wished that she could turn back the hands of time, but it was already too late. Meanwhile, her husband moved on and got married to another beautiful lady whose name was Ugochi. And in less than a year, Ugochi had given him triplets, 3 bouncing baby boys, and he was so happy and treated her very well. Meanwhile, Amara continued to slave away at the local restaurants, serving food and washing dishes. Every night, she would lay awake in her room crying and weeping. She really wished she could turn back the hands of time, but it was already too late. Hi besties, it's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one as usual. I have a question for the ladies. If you get married to a very wealthy man, or if you're married to a wealthy man, would you stop working just because you're married to someone that can foot your bill? Do you think that Amara was stupid to have stopped working and stopped building anything for herself just because she married an Odogu Parara? That's one. Then secondly, have you ever been in a situation where it looked like your friend was now rich, or your friend became better, or became somebody, or got married, and your friend just cut you off like that? And you're wondering, what did I do? And you try to reach out to your friend, and your friend makes it look like, oh, we are no longer in the same level, you're no longer in my class. Have you ever been in that situation? And what would you have done if you were at that? Would you have still helped her even with the 1 million naira? Or would you have kicked her out of your house? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section. And please support your home girl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories. Bye. Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Lagos, there lived a beautiful young lady whose name was Stella. Stella was so beautiful and was very hardworking. And she fell in love with a young man whose name was Ifechukwu. And in no time, they both got married. And their marriage was going on just fine until social media destroyed their marriage. The funny thing was that Stella was not even a social media person. She was a fashion designer who knew her craft very well. And she was always busy and booked. She was always focused on developing her craft. So the only time she came online was either to post her designs and, share her work and all of that. But Stella was not the kind of person to spend hours on social media. So in no time, she started doing very well. She became a big name because she knew her craft and was dedicated and committed to it. Her husband, Ifechukwu, on the other hand, was a banker and was doing well for himself. So they were fairly comfortable. They were doing just fine. And Stella was that kind of woman who believed in contributing to her household. She was not one of these women that believe that his money is our money and my money is my money. She contributed equally to the home. However, she began to notice a few things about her husband. First off, she noticed that her husband, Ifechukwu, was so nonchalant. During her birthday, he would practically not care. He would only wish her happy birthday, but would not go the extra mile to make things special for her, like buying a cake or even a gift. He would just tell her happy birthday, and that was it. Meanwhile, when it was his brother Chuk's birthday, he would throw a full surprise party for his brother. He would go all out, buy gifts. There was even a year that he bought a car as a birthday gift for his brother. And when Stella would question him and say, how come during my own time, you would only wish me happy birthday? You won't even buy me a cake. At least you can afford a cake, not to talk of a gift. But during your brother's birthday, you will throw a full-blown party for him. You will go all out, Stella would say to her husband. But Ifechukwu would just reply and say, it's not my fault now. It's not my fault that your birthday fell when I was broke. Your birthday fell when I was broke. Do you want me to go and borrow money to buy cake and buy gifts for you? No, now. It's just his luck. It's my brother's luck that his birthday fell when I had money, Ifechukwu would say. And Stella would be left bewildered. She did not understand what kind of a husband that she got married to. A man that would not even lift up a finger for his wife, but would go all out for his blood brother. Anyway, she let it slide. But then she began to notice other things as well. There was a time she wanted to move to a bigger space because she had outgrown her space. So she went to her husband and pleaded with him to please support her business, even if it was a loan, that she was willing to pay, that she just needed 1 million naira loan to rent a bigger space, that everything was getting clustered in her little shop. But what did her husband do? He complained and said, you this woman, eh? Then why must you come at the wrong time? I do not have any money. I don't have any money. Ifechukwu replied angrily. And Stella, yet again, let it slide. But that same week, Ifechukwu supported his brother Chuks with 2 million naira and sent an extra 1 million naira home for them to roof the new house that he was building. Meanwhile, he could not even assist his wife with a loan of 1 million naira to rent a bigger space. At this point, Stella lost it. She walked up to her husband and screamed at him, saying, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Who are you exactly? Did I marry my enemy? How can I be begging you for 1 million naira? I am your wife. I said, okay, don't dash me. Give me a loan." And you will not give me. But this same week, you sent 3 million naira to your family. It's no wickedness, Stella said, tears streaming down her eyes. But Ifechukwu did not even respond. He did not even feel a bit of remorse. He just continued pressing his phone like it was nothing. Throughout that day, Stella wept. She cried and cried. She thought about her life. Has she been a bad wife to him? What has she done that would make him hate her like this? And all of that. At the end of the day, she wiped her eyes and advised herself to better go and make money and save for the rainy days. Because the way that her husband was, if any emergency arises, she was practically on her own. So they continued to live happily. So a few weeks later, and Stella found out that she was pregnant. She was so happy. And when she shared the news with her husband, he was even way happier. It was as if the pregnancy unlocked something new in him. He became so caring and doting. He would cook for her. He would play with her. He was just trying to make life so easy for her. Stella was so happy. But then, at 20 weeks, it was time to check the sex of the child. And so Stella and her husband, Ifechukwu, went to the hospital to check the sex of the child. And when the doctor told them that their baby was a girl, Ifechukwu's face squeezed immediately. It changed instantly, as if he just had bitter lemon. And throughout the drive back home, he was so moody and so quiet. His wife Stella kept on asking him, "My dear, what is the matter? Is it because the doctor said it's a girl? Of course, we would have more children. We'll still have boys. This is just our first child." But Ifechukwu did not even answer her at all. And from that day onwards, he changed. Yes, he was not wicked to her. He did not maltreat her. But he became very nonchalant towards her. He wouldn't help out like before and all of that. Stella was surprised at the 360-degree change. Anyway, she knew the kind of person that her husband was, so she didn't take it to heart. She just continued to focus on her business, and she showed up every day at work, smiling and happy, and counting down to the birth of her first child. Then a few months later, it was a Friday night, and Stella went into labor. Usually, every Friday, her husband would usually go to club with his brother and friends. And that night, despite the fact that he saw his wife in labor, he just simply dropped her off at the hospital and then zoomed off to the club to go party with his brother and friends. So Stella practically experienced all the labor pain by herself. She had to call a friend who showed up at the hospital to support her. And guess what? He did not even show up the next day to check up on her in the morning. It was Stella that paid her own hospital bills and got a taxi to take her home. But despite all these red flags from her husband, she endured it all. After all, she had always been taught that marriage was for better or for worse. Her husband, Ifechukwu, was not even concerned whether the baby would take milk, whether the baby needed pampers or anything. He was just upset that it was a girl. So thankfully, Stella had money to cater to all her baby's needs. And she did it joyfully, not minding that her husband was being very irresponsible. But then one day, Stella was busy working at her shop when one of her apprentices, Bola, screamed and showed her the post that her husband had made on Instagram. Apparently, Ifechukwu had made a comment on Instagram that no man's wife is his family member, that the only family members a man has are his sons, that a man's daughter and wife are not his family members. Stella was shocked. For days she could not sleep. She kept on thinking and thinking about the comment that her husband had made. How can a man be married to a woman and say that his wife is not his family member? That she's just there to produce his original family members, which are his sons. At that point, it began to make sense to her. No wonder her husband had been treating her the way he does, from not helping her financially and instead helping his brother. And then from being all nice and caring when he found out she was pregnant, thinking it was a boy. But as soon as he found out that it was a girl, he changed. Everything began to add up. Everything began to make sense. From how he dumped her at the hospital during labor and went to the club to go and party and drink with his brother and friends. Stella was broken. How could she not have known? How could she not have seen this red flag when they were dating? She asked herself for many days. She wept and wept. She was so devastated. But guess what? She never confronted him. Instead, she began to follow him closely on his social media accounts and realized that her husband hated women. He was busy saying all sorts of nonsense against women. All this while, she never knew that her husband held such vile opinions about women. He would say things like women were just objects of satisfaction, that no man should waste their money training their female children, that female children are weak, they are not as important as male children. There was a time that he even said that if anything ever happened to his wife, if she becomes a cripple, that he would leave her and marry somebody else. After all, there are many fishes in the sea. And besides, a woman is not a family member. Stella was shocked to her bone marrow. She never knew this side of her husband. And this shocking revelation about him made her completely devastated and speechless. And she knew that her husband was so free, making all these comments on several blogs, Insta blog, Gist Lover, everything, simply because he knew that she was not a social media person. For crying out loud, she was too busy sewing clothes, coming up with designs to be thinking about social media. Most times, it was even her apprentice and workers that would post her designs for her on social media. And she knew that because he knew that she was not a social media person, that was what gave him the impetus to type all sorts of nonsense online. But then she was happy that she had finally discovered the true nature of her wicked husband. And so, she vowed that she was never going to have any more children for him. So she began to plan her exits. First things first, she began to save like a mad woman. Most times she was saving 70% of her income. She would invest it, she would buy shares in Nigerian and foreign companies. She started buying lands, and after she had acquired like 10 plots of land in a space of 2 years, then she started building her office space. And all this while, her husband did not know. And in the next 3 years, she continued to invest radically, and she refused to take in again. No. By this time, her daughter was already 6 years old. Severally, her husband would call her and say, Stella or Guinea, are you trying to space? This is too much now. Our first daughter is 6 years old. You should be trying for a second child. Don't you want her to have a sibling, to have a brother? Ifechukwu would say, looking very concerned. But then she would come up with an excuse and just brush it aside. Because she had her plan. There was no way she was going to build with a man who did not consider her as family, who thought that women were just tools of satisfaction. So a few months later, and she was done with building both her office space and her home. Then one evening, after the close of work, she was with her husband just gisting in the parlor. Then she looked at him and said, my dear, there's somewhere I would like you to be tomorrow. And he was surprised. Somewhere, okay. Where exactly? What are you doing, you this woman? Ifechukwu said, smiling. And Stella replied and said, don't worry. Just follow me. Just dress well. We are going somewhere tomorrow. When you see it, but I will not tell you. Just prepare. So the following day, they both got dressed and went to her new office building. It was beautiful and magnificent. She was launching her new office space that day. Her husband, Ifechukwu, was dumbfounded. His mouth was open all through. He could not even shut his mouth. Stella, did you rent this place or did you build? Ifechukwu asked, looking very surprised. I built now, my dear. I built. I've been working very hard. So I decided to build this space. Stella replied proudly, wow, you built this place. How did you do it? How did you achieve it? How? When? What? You did not tell me. What happened? Ifechukwu said. But Stella just stood there smiling proudly when she saw her name on the building. Stella Couture. She had never been prouder. But from that day, something changed. Ifechukwu became very proud of his wife. He started calling all his friends, his family members to gush about his wife and boast about how well his wife was doing, that he had landed a gold mine, that his wife was industrious. He became super nice at home. He was cooking meals for her, taking her on date nights. Ifechukwu, that had never bought her a gift in 7 years, was now buying her lots of gifts, flowers, professing love. I knew you would make it. I knew you would make it. Ifechukwu started talking like a motivational speaker. Anyway, Stella accepted everything, for all the suffering she had suffered in the past 6 years. She accepted everything with her full chest. But what she wanted to do was in her mind. Then one night, Ifechukwu woke up. He could not sleep. So he woke her up and now looked at her and said, my darling, my princess, the crown upon my head, my queen, the queen of my kingdom, Omalichanwa, Achalugo, Ego Vin, Onugbaje boys, Omalicham, Wayoma. There is something that I want to talk to you about. Ifechukwu said, staring at her with love in his eyes. Stella at this point was suspicious. Okay, what is it? All these names that you're calling me. What do you want to talk about? Stella replied coldly. Then Ifechukwu went ahead and started talking about how, my dear, that when a man and a woman becomes husband and wife, they become one. All everything they own together. So I was thinking, I also want to be a co-owner of your business. Even if you have registered it in CAC, you can re-register your business as a different name. You can call it Stella and Ifechukwu's Couture. So that way to reflect that we are united in our marriage. We are now one. The Bible says that what God has joined together, let nothing put asunder. God has joined us together. Do not let this business put us asunder. We are always one and should be one. Ifechukwu said, preaching like a pastor. Stella just looked at him. Okay, I have heard you. Give me some time to think about it, Stella replied. Then she went back to bed. Ifechukwu was so happy. He thought that she was going to resist it and say, after all the times that I begged you for money, you did not give me. But the fact that she asked him to give her some time to think about it gave him hope that she would eventually agree and re-register the company and make him a co-owner. So Ifechukwu slept happily that night. But what Ifechukwu did not know was that Stella was already concluding her plan to move to her new home. Yes, she had finished building her house, but she was putting some finishing touches, doing some interior decor and all of that. So she went there every day with her daughter to show her their new house. And she made her daughter promise that she was never going to tell her daddy. She lied to her daughter that it was supposed to be a surprise for her father. And of course, Ifechukwu was not even close to his daughter because she was a girl. He did not build any bond with her. So there was even nothing that would make their daughter Adanna go and spill the secret to her father because she had no bond with her father. Then one evening, Ifechukwu had closed from work and was coming home when he was involved in a fatal accident. He was rushed to the hospital, but then it affected his spine. The doctor said that he was going to be crippled for life. His wife Stella showed up every day and was with him for several months in the hospital. She cared for him, cooked for him, bathed him and all of that. She even cleared all the hospital bills by herself. And Ifechukwu was so happy. But when he was discharged, Stella simply drove him from the hospital straight to his parents' house. Stella, where's your mind now? You're driving to my parents' house instead of going the other way for us to go home. Ifechukwu asked, looking surprised. But Stella simply replied and said, my dear, I just want you to say hi to your parents before we start heading home. Stella replied. So Ifechukwu calmed down. But then, as soon as he got to his parents' house, Stella went to the boot and brought out all his bags. He was surprised. Stella, what is happening? What is going on? I thought you said we were just coming here to say hi before going back home. Ifechukwu asked, looking confused. But Stella simply smiled and replied him and said, my dear husband, I have brought all your bags. I've packed everything in the house. This is all your property. I have packed them so you would live with your parents. Stella replied. Then Ifechukwu replied angrily and said, what's that supposed to mean? What kind of wicked wife are you? Now that I am down, I am crippled, that you're supposed to show me love, you're supposed to be there for me? Is marriage not supposed to be for better, for worse? And all you can do is to dump me at my parents' house? Is that not wickedness, Stella? Ifechukwu said, tears streaming down his eyes. And then Stella pulled up her phone and showed him all the screenshots of all the nonsense that he had been seeing on social media, saying that his wife is not his family member, that his wife is simply a stranger, that if for any reason his wife becomes crippled, he will take her back to her parents because his wife is not his family member. Ifechukwu was shocked. How did you find out? How did you know? I thought you're not a social media person. Ifechukwu replied, tears streaming down his eyes. Then Stella replied coldly and said, my dear, when God wants you to see something, whether you are a social media person or not, he will bring it to light. Imagine all the nonsense things you said about me all these years. You said if I ever become crippled, you will abandon me with my parents. And that is what I am doing now. I am coming to drop you with your parents. After all, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So please, enjoy your parents. After all, you said that I'm not even your family member, that no woman is a man's family member, that I am a stranger. So please, let your real family members take care of you. I cannot be taking care of a liability, of a burden all these years, all these years I would ask you for something, you would not give me. But guess what? You would go and give your brother. Why? Because he's your family member and me, I am what? A stranger. So as a stranger, I have tried. At least I cared for you for months until you were discharged. I paid your hospital bills. I did everything for you. As a stranger, oh. So now let your real family members continue to take care of you. I have tried my best, Stella said. And then she walked back to the car and drove out. Ifechukwu just sat there on his wheelchair, dumbfounded. He could not stop crying. The tears kept on flowing freely. What have I done to myself? What have I done to myself? But Stella is not a social media person now. She doesn't even have Instagram account. She doesn't even have Facebook account. So all these years I've been posting all these things, she has been watching them. She has been reading my comments and she kept quiet. Ifechukwu, you are finished, oh. You are finished, oh. What have I done? Ifechukwu said, tears streaming down his eyes. His aged parents took him in and were caring for him. But barely 1 week after, they started complaining that they were too old for this kind of burden. They now began to call his wife to come and carry him. That marriage was for better or for worse. That yes, he might have said those things in time past, but then his views have changed currently. They called the wife to emotionally blackmail her. How would you feel that your daughter will grow without her father when her father is alive? You're a bad wife. You're an evil wife. They did all sorts of emotional manipulation. At first, they started with begging. It did not work. Then they switched to emotional manipulation. Yet, it still did not work. Stella refused though. She refused to go back to pick her husband. And even when her parents forcefully came with their son to drop him back in his matrimonial home, they were shocked to find out that Stella had moved out of the house into her own mansion. At that point, they knew that there was no going back. So they took back their son and continued to care for him. But after a while, they began to complain bitterly that they were too old for this burden and all of that. Ifechukwu felt so bad. He became a burden to his aged parents. So then he called his brother Chuks, whom he had always been there for, and told him to please come and take him, that his parents were complaining and complaining. And of course, Chuks came around and picked him up and took him to his home. But after a while, Chuks' wife, Amarachi, began to maltreat him. She would starve him food. She would give him broom to sweep the compound. How do you tell a cripple to sweep? She would even give him mop and tell him to clean the house, that he would sweep and mop before he eats breakfast. She would even give him brush to wash the bathroom. For crying out loud, how will a cripple wash the bathroom? Oh, Amarachi did not care. She was dealing with him. And severally, when Ifechukwu tried to talk to his brother Chuks, Chuks was always forming busy. He would leave for work very early by 5 a.m. and come back home around 10 p.m. Sometimes he would barely see his brother for 2 full weeks. At that point, Ifechukwu began to wonder whether his brother was actually avoiding him. Because how would your blood brother, who is a cripple, be in the house and you wouldn't even make out 5 minutes for him? Then one day, his suspicions were confirmed. Ifechukwu woke up very early by 4:30 and wheeled himself to the front of his brother's room to wait for him so that he could speak to him about how his wife was maltreating him. But lo and behold, as he stood in front of his brother's bedroom, he overheard them discussing about him. He overheard his brother Chuks telling his wife to continue to frustrate him. I need you to deal with my brother. I need you to frustrate him, make this house a living hell for him so that he will pack his bags and leave. Me, I cannot take care of a cripple for the rest of my life. And the doctor says it is irreversible. I can't take care of a cripple. And of course, you know how good my brother has been to me. So I can't even tell him to leave my house. So you're the only person that can make this happen. I need you to maltreat my brother. I need you to make his life unbearable. Starve him. Starve him. In short, if the starving is not working, begin to hit him. Begin to hit him. I support you. I support you. Please let this man leave my house. Biko, Chuk said to his wife. Then his wife, on the other hand, replied and said, my dear, you don't know me. I'm an Anambra woman. Oh, don't worry. Leave this one for me. You see this, your brother? I give him less than 1 week. He would leave this house. Oh, it's me that be taking care of a crippled. Am I the one that told him to maltreat his wife? If he had taken care of his wife, would his wife not have taken care of him? Don't worry now. By the time I'm done with him, he will carry his wheelchair and walk and run away from this house. His wife, Amarachi, replied wickedly. At this point, Ifechukwu could not believe his ears. The tears kept on flowing. He just kept on crying. He kept on crying. He immediately wheeled himself back to his room. He realized that all this while that his brother's wife had been maltreating him, it was his brother that had instructed his wife to maltreat him so that he would be frustrated and leave their home. It now made sense why his brother went to work very early and came back late at night so that there will be no room for discussion. Oh, Ifechukwu said as he wept. All this while, I called my brother my family member, and I said my wife was not my family member. Now look at what my brother is doing to me. Look at what my brother is doing to me. Oh, Ifechukwu said as he cried bitterly. And that day, he decided that he was going to leave their home. He had some savings. He had about 10 million naira. So he went ahead and researched online for a home for the disabled. And then he called on them to come and pick him up. And they picked him up. He registered himself there and paid for his caregivers to care for him while he finds a way to look for a job online so that he'll be able to sustain himself. Ifechukwu was so sad. For many weeks, he was depressed. He kept on crying. He could not believe that his brother could do that to him. He wished that he had done things differently. Look at the wife that he said was not his family member. Despite everything that he had said about her, still showed up at the hospital and cared for him till he was okay. Still paid all the hospital bills and was there for him. He wished that he had handled his marriage differently. But then he had made a mistake that he could never reverse. So while Ifechukwu continued to live in the home of the disabled, with carers caring and attending to him, he got a job online and was able to sustain himself. Meanwhile, his beautiful wife, Stella, had moved on. She had moved on to her home. He was seeing her on social media. Her business had flourished. She was doing so well. Their daughter Adana was doing so well. Ifechukwu was practically stalking her. He had tried to reach out to her to apologize, to mend their lives once again. But it was too late. Stella was not going back to her vomit. Ifechukwu wished that he could turn back the hands of time. But it was already too late. Hi besties, it's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one as usual. Do you think that Ifechukwu deserved everything that happened to him? Or do you think that, Stella should have let it go, she should have forgiven and all of that? Do you think it was even wicked of Stella to have held that grudge for several years while planning her exits? Or do you think she was a smart woman? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section. And please support your home girl, Omalicha. for subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, until I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye!